Hello. In my coronavirus update, I rather glossed over the impact from the upcoming end of Britain's time in the EU. We have already left, but the end of the transition period is nearly here. We were supposed to have completed the easiest deal in the world by now. Let me say now that the European Union is not a perfect body. It can never be, as it is only another human political construction. But it has at its heart an honest attempt at creating peace and unity. The member states exercise control over it, not the other way round, and its policies are a product of those sovereign governments. It is not a bully, though it may act poorly. I'm thinking of Greece, nor the ogre of popular British media myth. Indeed, the bulk of the UK press, owned by the very wealthy, have deliberately demonised the EU for their own ends. The UK counts only days now until the end of the transition period, with no trade deal in sight, credibility and trustworthiness in tatters, and about to add long-term economic harm to that inflicted by the COVID-19 virus. A full history of Brexit is impossible in the space of a 15-minute chat. However, here's my condensed take from various sources as to how we arrived at this sorry state. Brexit was supposed to be about sovereignty, taking back control, global Britain, about us leaving the lame duck of Europe and becoming the greatest trading nation ever, the end of red tape regulations, and, whisper it, for some, to be rid of them immigrants. Rubbish. Brexit is about money. Specifically, it is about the ability of a small number of the already wealthy to make even more money if the safeguarding requirements of EU laws in banking and finance can be further limited or, better, removed. The EU began to make noises about better oversight of the European financial sector, especially the gamblers known as hedge funds, after the crash of 2008. Thriving in the financially deregulated UK, hedge funds and their wealthy managers resent any perceived interference in their ability to generate money for clients, no matter the cost to other economic sectors. Many decided they wanted out. This was to light the fuse under what became the Brexit campaign. Brexit is also about dysfunctionality, both England's and the Conservative parties. Again, without time for a full psychological analysis, this is the broadest view. Great Britain never came to terms with its diminishing place in the world following the Second World War and the dismantling of empire. Economic decline in the 50s and 60s led from official disdain for the European movement to a grudging entry in the 1970s. Britain has broadly prospered since then, though you'd never know it from the rhetoric of Parliament in recent decades. However, there remained a strange sense of English entitlement, the empire we had, that somehow membership of Europe was beneath good, stout Britons. As I've said in another talk, the Tory neoliberal experiment that was supposed to bring riches for all did no such thing. Instead, it has meant increased inequality and greater economic insecurity for most on the lower pay scales. Politicians, secure in the knowledge that most people would not know otherwise, often put policy failures down to supposed EU regulations. New Labour often followed the same line. The Tory party likes to portray itself as united, in contrast to the faction-riven Labour Party. That is definitely not true. They are as dysfunctional, just more effective at telling the lie. Unsurprisingly, they survive through very wealthy donors. Hedge funders make up many of those, some even in Parliament themselves. Looking at you, Rishi. Most Tory MPs are Remain-leaning, even if they flaunt occasional Euroscepticism to keep the fanatics happy. Perhaps most egregious of these are the European Research Group, counting hedge funder and leader of the House of Commons, Jacob Rees-Mogg amongst their number. The ERG and others are actually a tiny minority, but are well funded and very vocal, if not the most rational or intelligent. Now these two lines came together. A disaffected and discontented population given to bouts of rose-tinted xenophobia and latently insecure over its declining position in the world, let down by years of neoliberalism, then austerity following the banking crash. And a Tory party with the same sense of national decline, allied to blind loyalty for a failed economic model and very wealthy backers, pressing for more disengagement from regulations that they saw as limiting their wealth. Those far-right factions within the parliamentary party saw their chance to leave a policy. One has reached a potential trigger point. Prime Minister David Cameron, thinking only of perceived Tory unity, offered up a referendum in 2016 to his factions. It was a disaster. Badly fought by the government for Remain, the Leave groups capitalised with campaigns too frequently based on half-truths or outright lies. Government ministers changed side. The odious Farage, a former financial market creature, fronted a campaign of closet racism and xenophobia. Most of the popular print media upgraded their running of disinformation as news, and one Dominic Cummings, director of Vote Leave, used highly personal data questionably acquired for targeting voters through social media. Leave narrowly won. 52% to 48% on a 72% turnout is not a crushing, emphatic victory, but Cameron had bizarrely said he would honour the result whatever. And so he lost and shortly quit Parliament, leaving others to clear up the mess. Theresa May became PM. Then real mayhem began. Well, that brings us to the end of part 1, just up to the referendum. Next, I'll try to explain what exactly has happened in the 4.5 years since that vote. Chin chin.